Hi guys, we are looking at understanding rate concepts. We are trying to understand the concept of a unit rate, A over B, associated with a ratio A to B with B not equaling 0, and using rate language in the context of a ratio relationship. So really what we're doing here is we're looking at our original ratio and we're finding a rate to then solve a problem. Okay, so looking at our first problem is which would you rather? Well, which is the best deal here? So really what I want to find out is how much does it cost for one apple? So in order to find one apple, I know that this one would be 10 divided by 10, which is $1. Two apples for $3, that's $1.50. And then this last one here is eight apples for $4. So if I were to to divide that, I would end up getting 50 cents an apple because it's half the cost, right? So our best deal here would be letter C. Okay, let's go ahead and look at our first problem here. It says Malcolm is making chicken rice soup. The recipe calls for 5 cups of chicken broth per cup of brown rice. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, oops, I have the wrong marker on here. Okay. Per cup of brown rice. How many cups of brown rice are needed for 20 cups of chicken broth? Explain how you know. So we're going to start off with a basic ratio table. So we know that we're going to have broth and rice. Okay, and it originally tells us that we have 5 cups of chicken broth for every 1 cup of brown rice. So then it says, well, how much brown rice is needed for 20 cups of chicken broth? So what I need to do here is I need to find out how many times does 5 go into 20? And then I can apply that same principle down here. So I know that this is going to go by 4 and by 4, right? So I would need 4 cups of rice to make that 20 cups of chicken broth, okay? What we found here was we have a rate. We know that for every 1 cup of rice, there's going to be 5 cups of broth. And for every 5 cups of broth, there's going to be 1 cup of rice. So our rate would be either 5 or 1/5. Either we're going to divide by 5 or multiply by 5 to find the next amount. Okay. So what we have here is our unit rate. Okay. Looking at this next one, it says a tea shop. There's a package of vanilla tea that weighs 1 ounce and costs $2. Cinnamon tea is priced at 2 ounces per dollar. Use rates to show which tea is more expensive per ounce. So the important thing I need to remember here is per ounce. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get my marker here. Per ounce. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make 2 ratio tables. We're going to start with vanilla over here and cinnamon over here. So what we're comparing are ounces to dollars. Okay. So our first one tells us that vanilla tea weighs 1 ounce and costs, $2. And our cinnamon is 2 ounces for every $1. So if you remember back here, I highlighted this ounces. So we want to know for each one what it costs for 1 ounce. I already have this one here. So what needs to happen here on the second ratio is I need to figure out what it's going to cost for 1 ounce. Okay, I need to end up finding, sorry, I'm messing up with my colors here. What it's going to cost for 1 ounce. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what my rate is. Well, if I know that for every $1 I get 2 ounces, how many ounces if I split that, right? If I divided that in half because I want half as much, what would I get here? What's half of $1? Well, that's 50 cents. Okay. Another way I could figure it out is I can just go like this. I know that if I wanted to find out 1, I would divide by 2 and divide by 2. And you can see that's the same principle. So now when we look back, which one has a better price per ounce? So for 1 ounce, it's $2. And for 1 ounce here, it's 50 cents. So clearly the more inexpensive one, the better deal is the cinnamon, but the more expensive one here is vanilla. Okay, now we're going to look at this problem about a school and laser printer, or school and home printer, sorry. A school laser printer prints 72 pages in 6 minutes. Alana's home printer prints twice as many pages in twice as many minutes. Alana says her printer's rate in pages per minute is 2 times the rate the school printer. Do you agree or disagree? So just like the last problem, we're going to make 2 charts. So this one's our home and our school. So let's start off by writing what we know. We're looking at pages per minute. Pages per minute. And it tells us that her school printer prints 72 pages in 6 minutes. And her home, or her, I'm sorry, I rewrote these. Getting ahead of myself here. So this one's her school one. This one's her home. Okay. So what we need to do here is figure out, she says her home printer prints twice as many pages, so 2 times this amount, and twice as many minutes, so 2 times this amount. So we have 12 here, and then 72 2 times is 144. Okay. Now let's find our rates for each one. I know I can find my rate by dividing. Okay. So if I want to have per minute, just like she said, per 1 minute, what am I going to do to figure that out? I'm going to divide by 6 here and divide by 6 here. 6 goes into 72 12 times. And this one over here, we're going to do the same thing. Divide by 12 to get 1. Divide by 12 to get, what do you know? 12. Our rate for both of them is 12. So this Alana lady is telling us that her printer's rate in pages is 2 times the school printer. But when we made our table, we found out that they both have the same rate. So I would say we disagree because her rate is the same as the school printer. All right, we have 2 more here. So a box holds 12 cups of cereal. This amount is equivalent to 16 servings. Okay, so I'm actually going to make this be our little piece of paper here. So we have a piece of information here. We have cups per serving. Okay, and we know that there's 12 and 16 here. Okay, it says use a model to show the number of cups per serving and the number of servings per cup of cereal. So really what we're going to do here is we're just going to use our rate to figure out the 1, right? So I need to figure out what is happening between these 2 numbers. What's the relationship? So I'm going to find that out by either dividing one of these numbers by each other. Okay, so let's find out first servings. Okay, so if I want to find out servings, I'm going to be dividing by 16. So really I'm doing 12 divided by 16. Okay, 12 divided by 16, I'm going to do over here. Let's do it 12 divided by 16. 16 goes into 120. Let's see. We'll say 7. 16 times 7. 42. And I know 8 goes into 16 goes into 80 5 times, so that's 0.75. So I know there's 0.75 cups for every one serving. Okay, now we can do the same thing to find out the servings per cup. So I'm just going to do a quick little table here. And we'll start off with our original numbers here. That's what our box of cereal tells us. And then we're going to find the opposite. If I have 1 cup of cereal, how many servings is that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 12 on the top, divide by 12 on the bottom, and 16 divided by 12. I'm just going to make that into a mixed number. It goes in 1 time and 4/12. And I know that 4/12 is the same as 1/3. I have 1 and 1/3. Yay! So we have found out now, because we're looking for the unit rate, the rate, what is happening between these? Either I'm dividing 12 by 16 to find out the answer, or 16 divided by 12 to find out the answer. So using a ratio table will help me find the rate. Okay? So the rate is really what's happening here is 3/4, right? Either I'm dividing by 3/4, which is 0.75, or I'm multiplying. Okay? Explain how your model shows each rate. Well, our model shows each rate because we divided by 1 part of the ratio to find the serving or the cup. If you wanted to know how many cups of cereal are in a box that holds 24 servings, which rate would you use? So if I want to find 24, I could do this and just add in the 24 servings. Okay? Then I would be able to just go ahead and go like that. Yeah. All right, a farm stand sells 3 quarts of peaches for $15. So here's quarts and dollars. So we know that there's 3 quarts of peaches for $15. Now we're going to use our rate, okay, to figure out. It says write a rate for the situation. What does this rate tell you? So I can find out 2 things. Either I can find out what it costs for 1 quart. So I can put 1 here and find out how much money there is, how much it costs for 1 quart. Or I could say, how much can I get for $1? How much of a quart of peaches can I get? Well, let's just say we want to find out for 1 quart. So if I want to get 1 quart of peaches, what would I need to do here? I'm going to divide by 3 on both the top and the bottom. Okay, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. So I know my unit rate here. This is my unit rate. I know that there's a relationship of 5 in between here, right? So either I'm going to multiply by this number to find out how many quarts, or I'm going to divide to figure out how much there is. Okay, so I know that for every 1 quart of peaches, it's going to cost $5. So for example, let's say I wanted to find out how much would it cost me to get 6 quarts of peaches. Now I can use that unit rate to figure out how much that would cost. So I know because it's 1 quart for $5, I can just multiply 5 times 6 to get 30. It would cost me $30 to get 6 quarts of peaches. And I can keep using that unit rate to find out any total that I wanted. So let's say I wanted to get, let's get 20 quarts of peaches. I know because I have this rate, this unit rate here, that I can use it to solve any other problem. So I know for 20 quarts, I would just multiply that by $5. So 5 times 20, that would cost me $100. to get 20 quarts of peaches. And I can just keep using that relationship to find different amounts. Okay. And that's it for understanding rate concepts. So really what we're doing is finding a unit rate and using that unit rate to solve problems with our equivalent ratios.